How did that breakup go for you?
As me coming back and forth with E, I got close before that with his cousin Tone Capone lived in North Babylon. And before that, me and my boy Drew used to talk about how people got on, how Redman got on, how they met Erick and EPMD in Jersey and put them on. And then the K-Soul thing occurred. So then I was with E, I used to come back and forth. And when I went around, he always dressed fresh. He was like, you coming over here with new shirts on all the time, Murray. I remember that. And then I would see them, like one time they went shopping before the tour. And he was like, I love this rap stuff. He used to be having all the Carhartt pants with the cross-colored pants. I used to see this shit. And then they went to the show. It was a tour bus. So me and Tone Capone followed the tour bus in a hoopty. And then we watched DOS Effects rock, K-Solo rock, Redman DJ for K-Solo at that time. Redman was just getting his footings right. And then DOS,
Just saying, K-Solo told me that Redman used to be a DJ. That blew me too. I didn't know that.
Oh, word, yeah. But we'll get back to the K-Solo story in a second. Because it's more juicier to it than we hashed it up. So then, E was like, Murray, he heard all my rhymes. So I was running around, he said, yo, don't come over here if you don't got no more rhymes. So I went back home. And then, I thought this nigga was asleep. He in social media. He ghosted on social media. I know you listening, you multitasking. So then, E said, don't come back over here without no more rhymes. So I went to E, I said, ooh, I might lose my cool, break fool, and pull out my get busy too. I write like a mad journalist. The funk that's deeper than the bottomless spliff. The most beautifulest thing in this world is my notion for murderous poetry in motion and the Eliatic shit I come across when releasing trapped air with explosive force. I'll push your brain through the cracks of sanity and leave your brain doing a bid in purgatory, going crazy with it. So then he was like, oh, shoot, dope. And then he put me on a record with Redman called Swing It Over Here. Swing It Over Here. Then I did a song called Danger, my first record with E. Then I just kept going. And then E, that was 2 years before I touched the microphone, mind you. Then I got on the microphone with Swing It Over Here. And then something happened with EPMD. And then I was in the music room with E. He was doing beats, I was listening. And then some white dude, I watched cars, they pull up. He came out. And then I was like, yo, E, some white man here. And he was showing me a gun, because he always have to have a gun for security. So he was like, oh, that's the dude, I'm going to buy a house. He come in here to talk about a house. I said, no, E, that's not a realtor. He said, yeah, it is, man, come here. So he opened the garage, went out and met the man. And I was standing in the background watching. And the dude was like, yo, I'm Detective such and such from the 3rd Precinct. I want you to come down and ask you a few questions. He said, just take a little while, you might get out. And then E packed his stove. He said, oh, let's look at my jacket. And E felt the gun in his pocket. Then he came in, he was like, yo, Murray, that is a detective. He put the gun up, he said, yo, I'm gonna go talk to him. I'ma holler at you. And then, mind you, E used to go back and forth from Atlanta, that's why I didn't see him. And Parrish Smith tried to sign me when E wasn't there. When God Bless the Dead, Alvin Tony was in the car. He's like, yeah, we get the contract. And I'm behind Alvin Tony in this seat. Parrish Smith, I'm looking, I was like, contracts? In my mind, I was like, where the fuck is E at? I ain't saying no fucking contract. What the fuck is going on? So then, fast forward, E put the gun up and he's like, yo, Murray, come check him out, I'll be back. I was like, I didn't go outside, I let him pull off. Then I left, because mind you, I was selling drugs a lot on Carlton Avenue, but I was going to college, New York Tech. Yeah, coming from high school playing sports. I was a jock, sports jock. But then I had to have good grades to stay on the team, so I became high in education. So then E got interrogated and questioned. And then when he came back, he moved to Atlanta and left. Then some dudes got locked up for it. Then the case blew over. And I saw the detective saying, we should have locked Erick Sermon up. I wish we'd have locked him up. that would have been something under my belt. We should have got that servant guy. But he eluded the situation until it blew over. Then EPMD broke up. Then they got back together. Because some dudes was like, yeah, Erick hit me over. I don't know if he did or not. I don't know. But EPMD be rocking shows together, getting they back again. So the story was shaking. He never got arrested or accused of the case.
Very interesting right there. You know, I know that when those guys broke up, it was devastational for me. It was like Miami Vice, you know, like cracking the tubs breaking up. You know, I didn't, that was the first reality to make me look at my best friends at the time like, this was gonna happen, you know, with us? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
But do you know why it occurred?
Well, so
being
being back then in the mindset of what we heard through the little Word Up magazines or whatever magazine was pop. I don't think the Source was hot yet. I think it was Word Up magazine probably was still in power when they broke up. Rap Pages, yeah, you know. From what the story they told us is that Parrish was like the mind for the business. E was just doing the artist stuff, and that he got taken advantage of somehow by Parrish on the business side. That's, you know, what we heard. I'm not saying that's the truth. That's just what was on the street. That's what, you know, that Erick felt like he was taken advantage of on the business side, you know. But I was glad to see that they eventually got back together. I think that they heard hip hop, and you know, yeah, that whole breakup, you know, then what so-called happened with Man and somebody's house getting broke into, and you know the story.
What happened with Redman?
Well, they said that, you know, Parrish's house was broken into, and they said that Redman did it.
They said Erick Sermon sent people there to do it. Redman had nothing, name was never involved in it. I didn't hear that version. They said that's why they said that the situation occurred because that Erick had something to do with the two people going in there and tying them up and stuff like that, sending the message to get money because Parrish Smith was shady with the business because Erick was the producer and he trusted Parrish. Parrish had Schumer management and he trusted Parrish to do the business and break bread with the touring entity and the merchandise with E correctly. But Parrish Smith signed DOS Effects and Erick didn't have a group. So DOS Effects came along and Eric was producer for DOS Effects. But Parrish was taking the money with Sylvia and not breaking bread with his man properly. You know, that's my understanding of the situation. You know what I'm saying?
It's unfortunate with
Erick doing the beats and stuff, doing the records, but Parrish bringing in the money with Schumer Management ain't getting the money from the label and DOS Effects. So he breaking bread, but ain't breaking his man off properly. That's like me and you going uptown selling drugs. We got an empire. You know the combination to the lock, but you got the drugs, then you get a whole bunch of clientele, but I go get the plug. I'm bringing in money, you taking the money out there, doing whatever you want to do, getting your money and getting them, ain't giving me my cut, but I'm taking more away. We ain't 50-50. You foul with it. So that's what happened.
Bringing that something like that up. Let me run this scenario to you. What about say, you know, you got something going, you know, it ain't really, you know, it ain't really off the ground, but you got an idea and you dibbling, dabbling, and then I come along, you know what I'm saying, and I assist you with it. You know what I'm saying? I do everything I can to, you know, be a support system for you. And we blow, you know what I'm saying? 3-4 years, hard work, we blow, and you go from 0 to a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? You blow up. You think that I should get broke off or something like that? And I supported you for the 3.5 years and did everything to help build that up. You think it's foul if I don't get nothing?
Yes, it's foul you don't get nothing. You deserve affluence.
Yeah, I just, you know, just wondering. That's neither here nor there. But when
No, that is here or there. That's actually factual.
You know, when you said that, it's because the world know that something like that happened to me. But you know what I'm saying? It just, you know, when you said that, make me think of my own situation, you know.
Sucker shit left you in the dust.
I don't understand how we do that to each other as brothers. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Fucked up your trust.
Yeah, I don't understand how we do that as brothers.